It's prediction season, and one of Locked On's own has made his predictions for the SEC.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, HSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Alabama Internet legend Jimmy Stein. That's him. Want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. And thanks to everybody for making this your first listen every single day. You guys are the best. So, Locked On College Football, our own friend Spencer McLaughlin, and I think I'm going to be on his podcast later tonight. I think.
Oh, nice.
He has come up with his predictions for the SEC, and I'm going to give them to you right now. Oh, yeah, that did work. This is college football, Locked On College Football. So that's Spencer. Here's his predictions for those who aren't lucky enough to be on YouTube to see our glorious faces. Number 1, Georgia. Okay. Number 2, Texas. 3, Bama. 4, LSU. 5, South Kakalaki. 6, Oklahoma. 7, Ole Miss. 8, Florida. 9, Texas A&M. 10, Tennessee, as in Tennessee. 11, Missouri. 12, Auburn. 13, Vandy. 14, Arkansas. 15, Mississippi State. 16, Kentucky. Okay. I'm taking Arkansas, Mississippi State, Kentucky out of this discussion because we all agree they aren't going to be very good.
Yeah, I think
right. So. Okay.
Yep.
So you really start with 13 if you're going to work your way backwards with Vandy. I just don't know. I guess that's where I'm going to put Vandy. And I think in most years you'd be like, yeah, you're giving Vandy a lot of credit. It feels like we're shortchanging Vandy a little bit this year. But considering,
I'm not sure who I'll.
They're on the road at Bama. They're on the road at Texas. They're on the road at South Carolina.
I want to put them in front of Auburn because that would be fun or funny, but I don't feel right putting them in front of Auburn. I don't think they're better than Auburn, not this year. I think Auburn on defense is just a little too good to be behind Vanderbilt.
I'm thinking it's the other way. I think Auburn's too good on offense. I think Auburn's offense, really? The wide receiver core is going to be too good.
Good point.
I think that Vandy will have a good game plan for Auburn. I almost bet on that. Like it'll be a time control, kind of just be a gnat on a summer's day kind of thing for Auburn. But in the end, I think Auburn will win that game.
Just shows how deep the league is, Luke, because let's just say that we agree with this 1 through 16. I know we don't, but let's say we do. 12, 13, and 14, if you're playing on the road at 12, 13, or 14, you better lace them up. Yep. I don't know where else you say that. I mean, no one has a 12th, 13th, and 14th best team any better than Auburn, Vandy, and Arkansas. Now, I agree Mississippi State and Kentucky should be pretty bad, especially relative to the SEC. But I don't look at Auburn, Vanderbilt, and Arkansas bad. As a matter of fact, I sort of like Arkansas at home against Notre Dame, who I think is a playoff-level team.
I think you are being an SEC homer right there. I mean, but I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to be pulling for Arkansas in that game. There's no doubt in my mind I'll be pulling for Arkansas.
I would straight up on a straight up pick. I would pick Notre Dame to win the game. Like, okay, if we're betting on FanDuel and it's just bet the winner. I'm going to bet Notre Dame. If you're giving Arkansas 10 points, I'm sprinting to the window with Arkansas plus 10.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Okay, so then this second group of 9 through 12, A&M at 9, Tennessee 10, 11 Missouri, and 12 Auburn. Mm-hmm. All right, so I think Tennessee's right. Let me tell you what, I am not a buyer in Tennessee. I think Tennessee's going to have trouble in that first game against the Cuse. I really do. Yeah. I think the quarterback thing is a thing. And they just don't have a lot of experience at a very important spot. And I'm not sure exactly how much talent they have.
I would flip-flop Missouri and Tennessee. I mean, I'm with you. I don't see Tennessee. I think losing Nico really hurt them. Although I do think Joey Aguilar is a pretty good player. I wouldn't have had Tennessee having near the season they had a year ago, even if Nico was still there. But with swapping out with Aguilar, yeah, I would put Tennessee around 11, to be honest, and put Missouri. I'd bump them up a little bit.
Okay, and then, I want to say Auburn's going to be 12. I think Auburn's going to be better than 12, and it makes me sick to my stomach thinking about that because I hope they're 12.
I think 12 might be the right spot for them, while also saying I suspect this will be the best Auburn team we've seen in a while. But the league is just so ridiculously tough. I would put Auburn at something like 6-6 or 7-5, but based on the difficulty of the league, I just think Auburn's pretty good. Better be better than pretty good to win a lot of games in this league.
All right, so then the next group of 5 through 8, South Kakalaki, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Florida. I'm down with putting South Carolina at 5. It's a little scary to me. Their schedule is difficult too, but I can buy it. The Oklahoma at 6 is surprising to me, especially Oklahoma plays Ole Miss, and Oklahoma plays South Carolina, and Oklahoma plays LSU, and Oklahoma plays Texas and Alabama. They play every team listed ahead of them except Georgia.
Yeah, Oklahoma and Florida, if this is a power ranking like Josh Pate likes to do, power rankings, meaning, okay, who's good 1 through 16, I can see this at Oklahoma 6 and Florida 8. Their schedules are impossible. If we're predicting how the league is going to turn out, I bump Oklahoma and Florida over into that third group, that 9 through 12 group, both of them based solely on the schedule. Solely on the schedule. I don't know that their record is going to be any better than Auburn's, but they're better teams than Auburn. I mean, that's kind of how I feel about them.
All right, so then finally getting to this first tier, which is Georgia, Texas, Bama, LSU. Okay. The thing that stands out to me is Bama plays LSU and Georgia. Texas only plays Georgia. And Georgia plays, of course, Texas and Alabama. So yeah. I think there's some, getting beat up in there. Also, all of them play. Georgia doesn't play South Carolina, do they? I think Alabama and LSU do. Yeah. But I don't think Georgia does. Okay. I'm looking at this more and more thinking how tough Alabama's schedule is.
It is.
But LSU's is too, because they have both Florida. I mean, they've got everybody except Texas and Georgia. They've got Bama. I think I said LSU plays Texas earlier. They don't. I think I said that earlier.
They don't. Yeah, LSU does not play Texas. That is correct. Yeah. There's no LSU Texas. So LSU in the top group only plays Alabama, but then they get 5 through 8. They get like 5 through 8 though. I think
they get 5 through 9 because they play A&M too.
They're that schedule could schedule them out of the playoff, though I don't think so. I look at those 4 teams on the far left of the screen. I know y'all listen on podcasts, don't see it, but Georgia, Texas, Alabama, LSU. I came in wanting to disagree with Spencer a lot here, but I really don't have too much to disagree with other than Oklahoma and Florida. I don't see them finishing that high because of the schedule. But I do think Georgia, Texas, Alabama, LSU are the 4 best teams in this league in some order. I'm not settled on the order myself, but I think Georgia, Texas, Alabama, LSU are the 4 best. I think they will finish 1 through 4. And if I'm predicting the playoff today, and I'm not going to predict SEC teams in the playoff till the end of next week, till SEC Media Days is complete, but I would have Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and LSU all 4 in the playoff.
Yeah, the caveat being that Texas would have to win at Ohio State. Well, not have to, but it'd be better for them to win at Ohio State. LSU's probably going to have to win at Clemson, and Bama's going to have to take care of Florida State and Wisconsin. You know, and that's 4 tough games non-conference.
I like Texas's SEC schedule. That's why I'm putting them in. That's why I'm putting them in Atlanta. I want to say the Alabama-Georgia winner in Athens plays Texas at the end, but we all know that's not what happened last year at all. I mean, it didn't come close to happening last year. So I'm not going to say that this year just because, gosh, I'm not going to forget what happened last year with Alabama beating Georgia, but then Georgia ends up not only getting to Atlanta, winning the whole league. Something like that could happen. Georgia could beat Alabama in Athens, and then Alabama's in Atlanta at the end, beating Texas. That's realistic to me. I'm not going to predict it that way. I don't believe. But LSU is also really good. If you looked at all of LSU's position groups, I know people say they haven't been good on defense in a while. Second year for Brad Baker, a lot of those defensive guys back. I don't know that anybody in the country did better in the portal than LSU did, and they were going to be good with what was coming back, I think. Yeah. But then they go rack up in the portal,
especially receiver.
Yes, and Nussmeier's good. It's not like he needs a lot of help, but he's got it. And heck, I'm not sure they can run the ball. I mean, which is crazy to say about LSU, but I'm confident that they're going to be much better on defense. I'm kind of a big believer in Baker, and they were better last year. They weren't great, they weren't good enough, but they were a lot better on defense last year than they had been.
Yeah. Well, look, when we come back, we're going to talk about the next player on Jimmy's roster countdown. But right now, I want to tell you about FanDuel because it's awesome. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the greens, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action, yo. So why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet right into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started and go start having fun with FanDuel. When the FanDuel live read said something about on the greens, I assume you've seen the thing on Twitter where like two really drunk guys, one of them who apparently was very upset about something, they got into like a fight with a former NHL enforcer. And there was one guy because he was completely blasted out of his mind.
That's a perfect time to pick a fight with what amounts to a professional badass.
Well, what's even funnier, and all you got to do is pull up Twitter and it'll be there. And I don't know the enforcer's name because I don't like hockey. But the enforcer was trying not to fight the guy. And he just kept saying, get in your car. And he'd say, get out of here. Get in your cart and get out of here. And the guy he just started going, rah, rah. And then everybody was like, no, you're not scaring anybody, And then finally he charged at the NHL guy. The NHL guy grabbed him and threw him in the lake. He gets out of the lake and he goes at him again. And the NHL guy grabs him by the shirt with his left hand and starts tagging him in the face with his right hand. And as he hits him, he says, bang, bang, bang. So when somebody is using automatopoeia while they are hitting you, they are going to kick your butt. Stop fighting them.
What's funny to me is, as you describe it, grabs him with his left hand. That's exactly how they fight in hockey.
Yeah.
They grab one hand and then punch with the other. That's how they do it. Now, this is how this guy is trained to fight. I was friends with a minor league hockey player that was literally the enforcer on his minor league hockey team. And he has the funniest stories. He tells that all the time. But he was the enforcer because he was the best at it, and he's a big, strong dude. But he put it this way, he was the reluctant enforcer. They would always make him do it. He never like, I'm going to go kill that guy. It was always like, hey, this guy did something. You got to go take care of this. He'd be like, really? Was it that bad? Yeah. And then the coach would kind of like nod, like, you got to do it. And he was like, oh, don't make me go beat this guy. And I'm like, did you win most of your fights? He's like, I think I won all the fights. But I'm sure they say that. I'm sure they all say that. Seems to me most hockey fights in the rink end in a tie, but he claims to have won most of his.
Okay, so speaking of a guy we'd like to be an enforcer, that's Mr. Cuevas at tight end.
Yeah, and he's to just improve a little bit on the enforcing because I think as a pass receiver, he's really good. As a matter of fact, I was trying to think today, Luke, I'm having a hard time coming up with a pass-catching tight end in recent Alabama time that I think's any better. Obviously, O.J. Howard, because, he's a first-round pick. Other than O.J., I think it's going to be hard to come up with a Saban-era tight end that could catch the ball better and make plays downfield any better than Cuevas. Now, I know a lot of y'all are saying we haven't seen a lot of that yet. Actually, we have. We've seen glimpses of it. What we haven't seen, and I'm not getting into a Milroe thing here, but I don't think Jalen Milroe is the right quarterback to turn Josh Cuevas into a big-time playmaker. Because when Milroe throws it, when Milroe does show off the arm and Milroe's doing an NFL thing with his arm, he's going vertical to the fastest receivers on the team. But I think when you have maybe Ty, we're going to see more of Josh Cuevas. And I think we're going to see Cuevas used like he could be in the seams, in the short middle, in the soft zone areas, beating a linebacker when we're lucky enough to get him matched up with a linebacker. I think Cuevas is a guy we haven't talked about nearly enough. I think he's going to be not just a weapon, a major weapon in this offense. I think he's going to catch more balls for more yards than any tight end we've had since O.J. Howard. And I think he's going to catch a number of touchdown passes.
Is that more because you believe in him so much, or you think it's a Grubb thing?
A combination of about three things, including Grubb. Number one, the staff believed in Cuevas a lot. He's one of the few Washington players they took with him. Number two, from what I've seen with my own eyes with Cuevas, both in the games and on the practice field, I think he's really good, and we haven't really seen all he's got in the tank. Number three, he's improved. And number four, I think we got a quarterback and an offense that's really going to use him now. And number five, and to be honest, I think he's going to play a ton. I know a lot of people think Danny Lewis is going to be number one. If Danny Lewis is healthy, he will be the number one tight end in terms of snaps played. But even so, Cuevas is going to play almost as many snaps. Now, let's say Danny Lewis is still banged up like he was in the spring. Cuevas is then principally the tight end, even at the Y spot, not just lined up as the H moving around, which means he's going to play a metric ton of snaps. I think you add all of it up, and I don't want to predict like silly numbers, but I mean, I don't rule out 500 yards, which is a lot for a tight end in an Alabama offense typically. I mean, I'm not saying he's 1,000-yard guy. No one's saying that, but I'm saying major weapon, utilized every week, great pass catcher. He'll be drafted if he can prove he can get people blocked, because I mean, that's the challenge, Josh. I mean, he was really a receiver in high school, at the FCS school he went to before Washington, and he's really just been a big receiver. You want to play in the NFL, you got to prove you're a tight end at the line of scrimmage. And if he does, he's off to the NFL. I think this guy's got absolute Sunday ability as a pass catcher. Can he get people blocked at the line of scrimmage is the question.
You know, you encouraged me to go look at the receiving for last year. Ryan Williams had 865 yards. Jeremy Bernard was right behind him. He actually had two more catches, but only 794 yards. Next was C.J. Dupree with 256, and then Cuevas with 218. So, and then Jam Miller. I mean,
that's kind of hard to believe. But consider, I think basically what we're doing here really is combining. You can see now my 500 yards isn't crazy. Mm-hmm. If you combine Dupree and Cuevas' numbers from just a year ago, now then throw in the fact Ty's probably going to be throwing. I think Ty Simpson will throw more routes than Jalen. There's going to be more. There's going to be a variance of routes that Ty Simpson uses that we really didn't use with Jalen. I also think there's give and take here. Be honest. I mean, the vertical to Ryan and the vertical to Germ, probably better the last 2 years. We're going to take a step back there. It's not going to be bad. It's not going to be a waste of time. It's not going to be something Ty can't do. But Ty won't be able to do that as well as Jalen was exceptional at that. It's one of the reasons he's a third-round pick and playing in the NFL. But I do think Ty's going to be better at more routes than Jalen, and that's where Cuevas comes in.
All right, when we come back, we're going to take a shot at Big 12 predictions. Now, we're not going to go in depth, so don't worry about it. Yep. But it's kind of interesting to me because, and it's going to be fun for us because they're not actually doing predictions over at their media days, which I find completely asinine.
I've got a major bone to pick about that too. A major bone to pick.
It's just crazy. All right. So when it comes to the Big 12, I know that a lot of people listening, they may not even love it, but I'm going to encourage you to stick with us for a second because I'll say this. Everybody loves to talk about parity, right? And you hear that so much. You hear all these national talking heads talk about we just want parity. We want even playing field. The Big 12 is probably the most level playing field of any conference. Yet it's not great. That's fun in trying to predict it because it is a hodgepodge. You don't know what you're going to get. But it's terrible in the sense that I don't think there's anybody in that league that will come close to a national championship. So, somebody will get in the playoffs. And I heard Brett Yormark say, "Oh yeah, we'll get at least 2 in." I think
he's just being a shill for his own league, which is his job.
Again, yeah, that's true. I'm not mad at him about it, but it doesn't mean I'm not going to make fun of him.
Oh, no. You can make fun of him and disagree loudly, and I disagree loudly. There's no way 2 teams get in. In part, I say 2 teams won't get in as a nod to how good the Big 12 is. I think they're going to cannibalize and eat each other up. It's going to be very difficult. You got to finish 10-2, 11-1 in that league to make the playoff, and I think it's going to be too hard to do it. I think even the champion, the 2 teams in Dallas at the end in the Big 12 championship game, both probably have 2 losses, if not one of them having 3, because I think the league is so good in the middle and to some extent at the bottom.
Now, I'm with you. Now, if I'm picking, I'm probably just going to be lazy and go with Arizona State in first place. Number one, my son goes to school there. By the way, he's at Big 12 Media Days, and he was right on the front row getting pictures of Deion Sanders today and all that stuff.
Probably saw him because I watched every minute of it.
It is interesting.
Of course I did.
But then, I might do something like go with Texas Tech or Baylor next. And
McElroy picked Texas Tech to win the league, and McElroy did. Brock Osweiler picked Arizona State.
But, Baylor and Texas Tech are going to be pretty sneaky good. Yep. And look, I'm on board saying, hey, I think Auburn's going to beat Baylor in that first game, which I hate. But the more I look at this Baylor team's no slouch. That Sawyer Robertson dude at quarterback's a dude.
Highest QBR in the country that's returning from last year. Who had the highest QBR in the country last year that's returning to college football? Sawyer Robertson. And they got better at wide receiver. And his name is Kobe Prentice, by the way, who I think is going to have a pretty decent. Kobe's going to be pretty good out there, but they got other players too. They return a lot of guys, and Dave Aranda's a defensive guy, so they're good at quarterback, and they got Dave Aranda as a head coach. They won't be easy to. Baylor won their last 6 regular season games before losing in the bowl game.
Who did they lose to in the bowl game? Do you remember?
Something like Arkansas.
Maybe it was Arkansas.
But Baylor's pretty good. Texas Tech spent in the portal like a drunk Ole Miss.
Yeah.
They did. And did well, including Lee Hunter from former Auburn, from Mobile. Lee Hunter, projected first-round draft pick. That's one of their portal prizes. They got a pass rusher from Stanford, David Bailey. They're really excited about. Their quarterback's
who else
back.
Is there? Romello Height. You remember him?
Yes.
He was at Auburn, and then he went to maybe USC, and then he went to, I think, Miami, and now
they're excited about it. They're excited about him, and he's another one of these different school. There's probably a freshman in terms of his credits with all that transferring around he's done. Let me tell you though, while we only got about 5 minutes left, because I won't take up the whole 5 minutes of this, but this gets me angry when I hear this.
Before you do it, I want to say one more thing because of your Mobile connection. I also heard somebody today on a national broadcast. They talked about. They said, who's awesome interview? And that's Lee Hunter. They said, if you can get in front of Lee Hunter, just get him to talking. He's an unbelievable interview. And I was thinking that at least that's cool for Mobile. He initially went to Auburn, then he went to UCF.
He did go to UCF. That's where he blossomed into a star playing for.
Okay, now he's at
he was a 7-figure portal guy. 7-figure portal guy to Texas Tech. And how about the fact that he's from Mobile? I don't think Alabama's ever recruited Lee Hunter at any point. But first-round draft pick probably next April. And by the way, my pick to win the Big 12, I'm going to go with Luke. I'm picking Arizona State. I went into media days hoping to settle on someone else, but I'm just not. I just think Arizona State's the best team. I think they'll repeat as champions and make the playoff. And then I think Kenny Dillingham will be a white-hot name for the SEC and Big Ten in terms of looking the bigger leagues looking for a coach. I have Arizona State beating Iowa State as a repeat of last year's Big 12 championship game. But I do think Texas Tech's really good. Baylor's really good. Kansas State's really good. Another sleeper I have in that league is Kansas, whose quarterback Jalen Daniels. He's been there longer than the guy that invented basketball. Who's at the
James Naismith?
Yeah. He's been there as long as Naismith, but really good player and a playmaker. And if he's finally healthy by himself, he's going to win a few games. He's a dude that's really difficult to defend. But this is what has to do with them not doing these media predictions. And the reason they're not doing the media predictions, it's easy to make fun of them to say, well, y'all got it so wrong a year ago. They picked Arizona State to come in dead last. Instead, Arizona State won the league. And a lot of people think, well, they're not doing the predictions because they're so dumb and they're terrible at it, and that's why they're not doing it. That's why they're not doing it. I heard Yormack talk about it. It just made me angry about why they're not. He says because the league itself said Arizona State's not good and that BYU's not good, who they picked to finish second to last, who was actually in playoff contention most of the year. He said because we said they weren't good and put them at the bottom, it took them too long to climb in the actual rankings. And it actually hurt them when it came to playoff consideration because they had to start from so far back and climb so far up. It took too long to do that, and we handicapped them. We're not going to handicap our teams anymore. We're a wide open league. We're not going to do that to anybody anymore. And then McElroy or Brock Osweiler are trying to agree with them and just try to, because you want to be agreeable when you're talking to these commissioners, I guess. The commissioner then said, and some of the head coaches in the round table said, look, we don't need to do any polls, the AP poll, the coaches poll. We don't need to do that until October, November. The college football playoff people have it right. They don't do a poll till late in the year. And we need to get rid of this stuff because we handicap our own teams. And who knows who's going to be good in September. We shouldn't do those polls. This is where this gripes me. I do like the preseason poll. I like having the AP poll week 1 and the coaches poll week 1. And for all those that take that position that the Big 12 coaches did and the commissioner did, that screws up everything and it puts all these teams in this hole they can't climb out of, just do this. Go look at the college football playoff poll the first week it comes out, when it comes out, and then compare it to what it looks, the AP poll. It looks nearly identical. The AP poll and the college football poll end up in the same place. You can say the AP poll shouldn't start so early. All that matters is, okay, what does it look like when you start the poll at the right time, first week in November? It looks a lot like, is it identical? No. Is it similar? Oh, heck yes. The AP poll and coaches poll, they do get it right. And it's just fun to start. It does no harm to anyone. And by the way, Arizona State, they were in the playoff with a bye. So I don't know that they were totally hosed. If anybody got hosed, it's BYU. And this is why. BYU absolutely had a better case for inclusion than SMU. They absolutely did. Beat them head to head on top of everything else, by the way. And I'll admit this as an Alabama fan. I think Alabama should have been over SMU. I know BYU should have been over SMU. True. But it had nothing to do with where BYU was in polls. For whatever reason, SMU was the darling of college football, and they were just adamant about putting them in. And it's so silly because the same people that were adamant about putting them in, if SMU played Alabama on a neutral field and they were forced to bet $10,000 of their own money, those same people all would have bet on Alabama. Now, Alabama could have lost the game because Alabama couldn't beat Vanderbilt or Oklahoma. I'm not saying Alabama would have won the game, but I'm saying these people that are all insisting that SMU is better and deserves a spot would have bet on Alabama had the two played on a neutral field.
Let me also say this. The last time the Big 12 decided, well, we're not going to do what everybody else does because that puts us in a bad position, was 2014 when they decided not to have a championship game. And so they said, okay, we'll just leave the whole conference out.
And then got nobody in. Even though they had nobody in. They had two teams with a good case, and no one got in because of that. This whole position. I'm
going to take my ball and go home attitude doesn't work for you if you're the Big 12. Again, I know that the Big 12 is popular in a lot of circles. I know that. And I'm not trying to disparage the Big 12. But you ain't the SEC. You don't carry the same stick. You're not the Big 10. You don't carry the same stick. And you can pretend like you do. And that's fine, but it's already bitten you in the butt one time. Why do you want to try it to bite you in the butt a second time?
I heard one good scheduling suggestion I've never heard before that came out of Big 12. It would be fun, but in terms of making scheduling fair for everyone, this is a pretty fun idea. It's very NFL-ish. So what if everybody plays 9 conference games? Everybody's playing 9, so you have 3 non-conference games. Each team has to play one team from one of the other Power 4.
Somebody has brought that up before, and again,
it's the first time I've heard of it. I think it's fun. I don't know it's a great idea, but it's fun.
I don't know how mathematically it would work.
Yeah, maybe it would. Maybe it wouldn't. But that's a fun idea because the Big 12 is saying, "Hey, I give them this credit." They're saying, "What can we do to improve the perception of the league?" And most of the coaches said, "We need to play other Power 4 teams from other leagues and beat them. That's what we need to do."
Let me tell you what they can do.
That's a great answer.
Let me tell you what they can do. Now, last year, Arizona State beat Mississippi State in Arizona. I'm not going to give them a ton of credit for that. Number one, because Mississippi State was sort of in there for a while. But number two, Mississippi State only won 2 games. But you're going to Starkville this year, and if Arizona State can float on over here and beat Mississippi State against all those cowbells, I don't care how bad Mississippi State is, I'll give them a little more credit. Then there's also Baylor and Auburn. Baylor, if you beat Auburn, I'm telling you, you'll get a ton of credit, whether or not, but the fact that Auburn has 4 straight losing seasons, notwithstanding.
Georgia Tech's pretty good. They play at Colorado the same exact time. The same exact time Baylor's playing Auburn, that Friday night game, same kickoff, 7 o'clock, Georgia Tech at Colorado. That's another one, Colorado. I mean, you're getting Tech at home. Caden Salter's almost certainly going to be their starting quarterback, experienced guy they got out of the portal. That's what the Big 12 needs to do to establish themselves as win games like that. And I couldn't agree more. Baylor beating a mid-level SEC team, but you get them at home. If you're good, you should beat a mid-level SEC team at home.
Yep. Yep. We just got to see it. And also, Baylor, we're all pulling for you. All right. So that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow with more. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.